My name is Lionel Brogue. I'm a speech therapist working here in Parliament House, and I specialise in patients suffering from an unusual affliction unique to this workplace. Politicians who say, "Mr. Speaker," in inappropriate circumstances. I previously had a patient that some doctors said was incurable. They were right.
And that outraged Mr. Speaker.
It was the most bizarre case. He wasn't even inside Parliament and the Speaker was nowhere in sight.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
But more recently, I've taken on a new patient.
Now, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
Angus at least manages to keep his Mr. Speaker indoors, but in some ways his case is even more bizarre.
Now, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this is a real worry, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Sorry.
I have waited.
Deputy Speaker.
I was
I
loath to
apologise.
interrupt you. But you have called me Mr. Speaker on at least a dozen occasions.
At least a dozen. Now, I've got to stand up for my patient here. If you are going to criticise him, at least get it right. He actually called her Mr. Speaker at least 32 times.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
The thing is, everyone makes mistakes. The most important thing is to learn from them. Angus didn't learn.
My title's Deputy Speaker. I don't need a Mr., a Mrs., a Madam. It's just Deputy Speaker.
I'll go with
you.
Deputy Speaker.
But you would have been a great
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. You would have been a very good Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, meanwhile, those opposite, get rid.
To be fair to him, it was a rather unique way to fail the Bechdel test.
The cost of construction in this country, Mr. Speaker. The Treasurer gave us a painting today, Mr. Speaker. We need a plan, Mr. Speaker. That's what Australians want now.
Seriously, Shadow Treasurer, you're just going to have to dump the Mr. Speaker when I'm in the chair, okay?
Now, some might find this funny, but let me tell you, I was not laughing. Wish I could say the same for his colleagues. I found that particularly disappointing because, as the parliamentary guidelines clearly state, Section 82A, party colleagues will laugh their arse off at an MP's unfunny joke, but shall remain stony-faced if an MP accidentally does something genuinely freaking hilarious. Have I failed in my job? Some would say yes, others would also say yes, but I contend that when it comes to parliamentarians saying, "Mr. Speaker," we are dealing with some disturbing psychological issues here. Okay, so no wrong answers. What do you see here?
Mr. Speaker.
Forget it. Lost cause.
Mr. Speaker,